Okay, so here we're working on the bookcase door for the showroom, and this was a typical door. It was just a solid panel interior door, and Jason is working on altering the inside of the jamb and bracing the inside of the wall here to support the weight of the bookcase door. Our concern was that if we made it too flimsy over time, the door would begin to warp, either itself or the jamb or both, and then we wouldn't be able to open and close it anymore. It would start rubbing on the floor, or perhaps rubbing on the ceiling. It's a really tight space here that we're working with. But you can see how we open this all up, and here we have the door in its unfinished stage, ready to be hung. And then Jason bringing in some of the framework that he's going to be using here. Now see, one thing you might find when you open up a wall like this are some remnants of little critters that may have crawled in there years in the past, which we found down in there. But you can see how he braced this up. He wanted to give it some more structural rigidity, and he did that by adding a cut down 2x8, which is on the inside here, and then brace up with another 2x4, and then he's going to panel this off with some nice finished plank, which we'll just paint over, and then we'll run a bead of caulk down this seam here, and you won't have to do any more paint work as far as matching it up with the sheetrock, because you can paint it all nice finished gloss white to give it a nice appearance all the way across to the other side, where we'll have an overlap here, and from the inside you'll still get the appearance that this is a door. We'll have a false knob, which we've already put aside here. We'll attach that to the back, and it'll have a really nice finished case look to it. And from the front side, obviously, you'll see the shelves, and you won't even know what's going on until you actually reach in and pull the dead knob to open up the door. So Jay, I was explaining how you're adding a little bit more bracing in there to give that some rigidity so that the door doesn't warp itself or warp the jamb. And you're going to finish that with a nice piece of plank there. So all we have to do is paint that, right?
Yep, that's all. Save you a step in the process. And that'll give you a little more structural rigidity also. Instead of just a piece of sheetrock tying in 2 studs, it'll tie right back to the corner wall.
Now, for something like this, you wouldn't recommend using like MDF to make the bookcase itself, right? I mean, you use solid.
I would say solid. You could probably use MDF for the shelves themselves, but I would make the whole frame out of solid, either plywood or pine or fir.
Yep.
Just because of MDF, it doesn't have as much structural capabilities.
Okay. Now, are you going to have to box out this other side of the jamb too, the way you did on the right there?
Yes, but not as much. I'm bringing this right back to the corner of the wall for the structural purposes. On the other side, I just need to have enough to bump out for the jamb itself and the trim to be able to put out around the door.
And you anchored that 2x4 that's screwed onto the corner of the wall there. You anchored that right in to the framing on the other side.
The plate on the bottom and the carrying beam of the house on the top.
Alright, so basically you'd have to tear the house down to tear this off.
Yeah. Maybe not tear the house down, but you got the gist of it.
Okay. More than enough. I'd rather have more than enough than not enough.
Yeah. Is that what she said?
Yeah. Alright, we'll be back in a few minutes. Get this door up.